G'day viewers, my name's Graham Stevenson and I'd like to invite you to come on a journey of creativity and learning and adventure through the series Colour in Your Life. There's an artist in every family throughout the world, and lots of times there's an artist deep down inside all of us as well. So grab your kids, your brothers, your sisters, your aunties, uncles and mums and dads and come and see how some of the best artists in Australia do what they do. Well, g'day viewers and welcome back to Colour in Your Life. Well, it's a great honour for me to be where I am today. I'm with one of the premier artists in Australia, Anne-Marie Graham. Anne, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me, that's lovely.
This lady has an unbelievable history and a fascinating journey through her life as an artist. Now you've had 75 one-woman shows.
Have I?
Yes.
75.
That's in your portfolio.
Well, when you're 90 years of age, it's not difficult.
It's just incredible. This lady's 90 years of age. You've been painting for 82 years.
That's true.
That's incredible. And you started, we're just going to screen up one of the first pictures that Anne did when she was 8 years of age and literally escaped Austria in many senses. The Second World War to come to Australia when you were 13 years of age.
Just turned 14.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yes,
and then
very lucky.
Oh, it's incredible, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean,
I think life's luck half the time, really.
Yeah.
Don't you?
It's just fascinating, and the history behind what you've done is, I just think, absolutely extraordinary. Your style is a very individual style.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful style. It's so representative of life and life in general. I suppose with everything that you've been through in your life, that would have been part of putting that process together.
Well, my idea of expressing art as well as life in general is to be positive.
Yes.
There's just so much nonsense of negativity on television and newspapers and so on. I won't be part of that.
Yeah, a lot of the work that you do as well is very much as a woman who's an advocate for women as well.
Yes,
Can you explain a little bit about that for me?
To explain it, where do you start?
Yeah.
Where do you start? Maybe I'll start with the end bit. After having had children, husband, children, grandchildren, etc., and it was expected at my early age to be a good housewife, which meant that you don't really work, but you're a good mother and so on. And I hope I was, but the point it was that I was always wanting to paint.
Yeah.
And the time wasn't there. And then when feminism reared its not so ugly head, I felt very strongly about it and did a painting.
Yeah.
It's called The Fountain of a Middle-Aged Housewife.
Yes.
And it's a large painting in a market scene relating to domesticity and so on. We have sculptures of heroes, of course, war heroes, politicians, composers, you name it, not of a middle-aged housewife. And I feel very pleased that mine is the first to have been painted and has yet to be sculpted.
It's fantastic, it's fantastic. But you're going to show us a couple of processes today. Now, you work on the best materials. I mean, you work on fine linen, even the stretches that you use.
You want me to demonstrate how I do a painting?
Yeah, how you put bits and pieces together, and obviously you're an avid sketcher as well.
I love sketching.
Compiling those particular pictures, but we're going to follow through with some of the processes that Anne is going to do. It's a real privilege to be here today. It's for somebody that's just got such an amazing history and such a magnificent artist as well. You're really going to enjoy the day. So let's get something organised from there.
Now a small canvas here, the different kinds of canvases or linen.
Yeah.
The linen is very tightly stretched. I'll show you the back of it.
Back of these.
Can you see that on the screen there? beautifully done.
Magnificent.
That's very important to
Yes.
have a good stretcher. Well, I'd like to show you the next stage of getting a painting done. I have to show you the brushes that I use before you see anything else.
That's a great
And
idea.
they are not only the tiniest watercolor brushes, sable, they're about $35 each.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Can you believe it? And they don't last very long, but in order to do detail you have to. And then of course there are larger brushes like these. They're also pretty good and sable. I don't know what you use, Graham, for
I use
painting.
the same, yeah,
Do you?
absolutely, yeah.
You have to have
yeah.
quality brushes,
If you,
don't you?
if you don't, your picture's done.
Well, having told you how expensive my brushes are, I have to tell you how inexpensive my palette is. I don't use a big palette like a lot of artists do. I use jars that are given to me when the jam or marmalade has been taken out.
Great.
And at Christmas time I had 36 jars given to me.
That's a lot of
The
jam.
advantage is that at the end of the day I put the lid on and it doesn't dry out.
That's right.
It's much better than
Yes.
putting it on glass even.
Yeah.
Some artists use glass, don't they, Graham?
Yes, they do, yes.
And so there you are. That's why you see so many jars here. It isn't that I like jam so much.
But you mix the colour beforehand on a palette and then put it into the jar?
I mix it in the jar.
Oh, okay, all right. Fantastic.
Why not?
Yeah, fantastic.
It depends of the quantity, actually. If it's only a small amount, I don't use the jar. But if it's a big quantity,
Yeah.
like a certain colour, you mix it in the jar and use a larger brush.
Yep.
Voila. Such as
Beautiful.
this, you don't have to have a perfect point to the brush.
But this would help to keep your paint very consistent as well.
That is true,
Yeah.
because it's hard to mix some subtle colour.
Yeah.
All right, now you'll see the back of me for a bit, and I'm just filling in the space between the leaves and
Yeah.
the flowers.
There was a gentleman when you were in Vienna, Professor
Professor Cizek,
Francis Cizek.
Francis Cizek, yes, he was actually became world famous. Australia copied his method of teaching to gifted children. I was lucky enough to have been chosen as one of them. And I was 8 years old, so that's 100 years ago, I think. Wait a minute. It's
82 years ago.
Oh, thank you. 82 years ago. It does seem a long time, but I am 90 and I don't feel like 90, and it's wonderful to be 90 because now I can paint as much as I like. I don't have to wash dishes, I don't have to iron clothes. Isn't it divine to be old? One thing I have forgotten to tell you is the famous painting stick that I had for the last 20 years. Let me show you what it looks like.
It just
Every
keeps getting
time
larger and larger.
It is getting large. Well, it was only a small one beforehand. But this gets so dirty when you lean it against the canvas, which I do to rest your arm.
Yes.
And it steadies your hand. I couldn't do without it. But of course, eventually that gets so dirty that you keep on covering it. That's why it's so big. It doesn't have to be big like that.
It actually started at the size of a ping pong ball.
How did you know?
It's gotten a little larger.
It did indeed.
Yeah.
It does grow.
But as you said, they're very essential, and particularly when you're doing fine work like you're doing there.
That's right. So you see, slowly but surely you cover the canvas and start actually modelling the individual leaves. The painting that I want to do most is the next one.
Yes, of course.
It always doesn't matter what subject, it's always the next one.
Yes. You look at your work and you've got gatherings of people in parks and families gathering together.
So many subjects that I could mention. As long as the subjects that I portray are positive, I just don't like repeating what the television and newspapers do every day of the week, and I'm sick to death of hearing nothing but negative things, so I concentrate on positivity. Is there such a word?
Yes, well there is now, I can assure you. Positivity.
It's a nice word.
So the oils that you use, have you got a favourite oil at all?
I use the best quality Winsor & Newton.
Winsor & Newton, okay.
You have to use the best quality. Some I just don't last.
Yeah, but I mean even with your work, I mean painting for 82 years, it sounds odd to say that because most people don't even live that long.
No, that's right. But I don't only paint, I've done other media.
Yeah.
Like silkscreen and lithography. But drawing is my favourite medium, really. I just absolutely adore it. I used to go home from RMIT on the tram, and I used to wear sunglasses whether the sun was shining or not, so people couldn't see that I'm drawing the people sitting opposite.
Oh, right, okay.
And now I choose a lighter green. Again, beautiful. Look how
it's a lovely colour, isn't
hasn't dried or anything. It's wonderful. Now I can shift it over here so you can see it better. Well, now I use the actual shape of the leaf here, and then I will find that I have to touch up the background of the dark, which I won't do just yet because there'll be lots of white still showing.
Mm-hmm. The funny part about it is that you being on the Colour in Your Life television show is that in 1957, when TV first started, you were actually doing a television show for art classes for adults and the young.
I felt if children watch television when it first started, and I think to a certain extent it does apply, they become too passive, they aren't creative enough, consequently to react to the new medium at the time. I taught them to be creative, and now I might use what I call my palette, just another lid when I mix the colour. This is too light,
yeah,
and so I mix a bit of dark with it, and then have it slightly darker. You don't want them all highlight in this instance.
Yeah. I was going to say that's just a bigger jam lid.
That's just a jam lid.
It's another one.
Have a good look.
Your family loves jam.
Oh, it could be something else.
Yes.
Could be some of my friends who donate. Instead of bringing me chocolate, they used to bring me these lids.
Did they?
It's a shame. I love chocolate.
Well, at least you won't get fat on jam lids.
There's a lot of linseed oil in the paint itself.
Yes.
As you would know, being an artist. I love your work, by the way, Graham.
Thank you very much.
I hope you show your work too. And then the final thing is to get rid of these little white edges that happen to show. So I'll wash my brush properly.
So in developing your style as a woman in obviously an extensive career, what artists really stand out as far as influencing you?
I grew up in Vienna, and the museum that Dad took me to was the Kunsthistorische Museum that had, I think, about 13 or 15 of Peter Bruegel's large paintings, and I absolutely adored it. And I think to this very day, he's my favourite artist.
That's fantastic.
It is, isn't it? And later on, of course, there were influences. Well, George Bell probably was the best teacher I've ever come across. He lived in Melbourne, and a lot of our well-known artists who are roughly my age or a bit older would have gone at some stage to George Bell. The reason being is that he's the only artist who could teach objectively. I went to Kokoshka in Salzburg. I went to Emilio Greco in Naples. One is sculpture, one is modelling, and one is painting. Emilio Greco, when he came to correct my work, turned mine into his. So I said, Emilio, if you don't sign this, I'm leaving you. Because
You did it.
he turned my style into his. Okay, he couldn't teach. And same as Kokoshka, he was not objective enough. At best, they were second-rate Kokoshkas. The students, I mean, the style, and that's not good teaching. George Bell could detach himself from his own work and taught objectively, and it really was fabulous. It's like composition with music. You would know that with music you have to learn certain things. One thing he could not teach, and nobody can, is emotion. How to express emotions. I mean, we learned technique, we learned all the tricks of the trade, as it were, but we didn't learn how to express emotion, and that's such a personal thing.
So, I mean, that's a good... How do you convey emotion in a painting?
I can't answer that. You've got to feel strongly about it, choose the colours that suit the subject, all that, to create the mood, like composers in music. There's so many parallels in it. We just don't have the vocabulary in painting as the musicians have.
Yes. I'd like to talk about the fact that your work is in most of the museums and regional galleries across Australia, which I think is very impressive.
Yes, that's lucky.
Lucky?
Lucky, yes, lucky.
No, I think with that many museums that got your work, it's beyond luck.
Oh, is it? Oh.
It comes down to obviously being well respected.
Thank you.
It is. Now, your style obviously is very meticulous. Would be the best way to describe it.
I don't like accidental effects. And I want to be responsible for every bit on the canvas.
And another thing that is amazing about your work, and you're probably the only artist that I know of that I've ever seen do this, is that you create paintings that are very unconventional shapes as well. They're like little snippets out of a landscape, and you actually cut the landscape to suit the piece as well.
Why have to fill in these four corners when you don't have to? Finish the painting where the subject that you paint finishes. I have only started 2 years ago, these shaped canvases. People like them, but I think it takes a while for people to get used to the fact that they're no longer rectangles. I think 1,000 years of rectangles on the wall is enough.
It's a good statement. Let's have more shapes.
Let's have more shapes, why not?
Yeah, it's great. Also, you know, your advocation of women in art in comparison to when you started as an artist compared to now, I mean, there really weren't a lot of opportunities for a woman in your day, were there?
No, they weren't. I remember an artist friend of mine, her husband said, "Woman, your place is in the kitchen. When you're finished there, go for it."
Barefoot and pregnant. No.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
Yes, no, the attitude, Victorian attitude, was still lingering on in my days.
Yeah.
My husband was tolerant, I must admit, and I did have a chance of going overseas a couple of times for painting. But mostly it was expected of women to stay at home, whereas now, of course, there's much greater freedom for women to do their own thing.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy to be in a retirement place where I don't have to wash or cook or iron. You name it, I don't have to do it. It's wonderful.
It's fantastic, and we really do have to thank the Copeland Royal Freemasons Aged Care facility for allowing us to be here as well.
It is. It's great to have a studio here. I can't get over it. How lucky can you be? There you are.
Yeah.
Fluke.
Yeah.
And luck.
Fantastic. I mean, it's literally you walk into an artist's studio in a nursing home. I don't think, from what I can gather, there's too many of those in Australia.
I don't think so.
No, not at all.
Anyhow, they're using in the third floor new wing about 25 of my large paintings. I'm thrilled about that.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, and but apart from the fact that you've done a lot of travelling, you did have a great friend who was passed on.
Oh, June Stevenson, my painter friend. She was a George Bell student. That's how I met her. And she was in the same situation as I am, as far as not having enough time to work. But we did go on different painting trips together. She was a very fine painter.
Yeah.
June Stevenson, don't forget her ever.
Yeah.
She's now dead. She's been dead for quite some time.
But she was really one of your best comrades.
Oh,
wasn't she?
yes.
Yeah.
Now I use titanium white to lighten my greens for the accent on leaves, not all of them, just where you want highlights mixed with the light green.
So when do you think your next exhibition's going to be?
2015, that's this year.
Yeah.
It will be a mixed exhibition at Without Peer Gallery, but 2016 will be a retrospective. It will exhibit stuff from when I was 8, when I was 12, early work, later work and present work.
And some of them are up to 3 metres, aren't they?
Some are big.
Yeah. So how does an elderly lady handle a painting that size?
I'm not elderly. Wait till I'm elderly, then I'll tell you.
Okay. Like the attitude, it's great.
Make the most of the day.
You're only as young as you can paint.
That's a new saying. I like it. May I use it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
That's excellent. Now there's one piece that we've put up, it's a triptych, and it's children's games. Magnificent piece of work. And in the picture, which I think is quite delightful, is that you've actually put the children playing 24 different...
36, if you please.
36 different types of games.
And I had to go to toy shops to see the latest ones that I'm not up to date with, like computer games.
That's fantastic.
And early ones, you know, like jumping.
Yeah.
On
hopscotch,
or everything.
Marbles, the whole lot there.
The whole lot.
That's fantastic. What a brilliant piece. And I like some of the others as well. The heliconia, it's got the bright reds and you've got all those luminescent greens. I mean, you seem to be able to make those oils pop. And then another piece that's called the jungle with the cassowary.
Nice subject, exciting subject.
Well, viewers, fantastic day with an amazingly creative woman with an incredible history. 75 shows, 82 years painting. Anne-Marie, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
For having us in your studio.
Enjoyed your company.
Absolute pleasure. An incredible human being. I mean, to be around for 90 years and to have that dedication to your work for so long is amazing.
And hope many more years to come.
Absolutely, absolutely. Also, Anne-Marie has some fantastic books out as well. This one here is Images and Insights. She's actually negotiating with the Melbourne Botanic Society at the moment about having a permanent collection of her work in the Botanic Gardens, which I think is just wonderful as well. If you want to come and see Anne-Marie's work, you can go to annemariegraham.com.au and get in touch with her there. I mean, she has fabulous print collections, obviously magnificent artwork under any circumstances. And also you can come and see her work, hopefully at some stage we can get some of your work in our website as well, and that's colourinyyourlife.com.au, and come in and like us at Facebook, and if you come into YouTube you can see us in there as well. But we're going to head off now. We're heading back to where we come from to put all of these shows together for you guys. Before I go, remember, make sure you put some colour in your life, guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.
Goodbye.
Bye.